Welcome to the Brown Lounge. Actually, we're not at the Brown Lounge. We're on location again at Aimee Pellegrini's restaurant, Romanza Bistro, and we're back of the house. Aimee's going to show us how to make some wonderful lamb ragout to go with the beautiful pappardelle pasta that we made on a previous show. So we want to make sure you watch that. But today we're going to do a wonderful ragout with some simple, delicious ingredients. What's going to go into this?
So today we have the organic ground lamb, of course. And then we're going to use onion, carrots, some celery, and some tomatoes from my garden that I just happened to pick up.
So pretty.
We have some red wine that we didn't drink the whole bottle, so we got a little left.
Great.
And then also some beautiful rosemary from my garden as well.
That's pretty serious. That is pretty serious rosemary.
It's like a rosemary tree.
I was going to say, that's just not like a little that's awesome. Okay, so we're going to make this beautiful lamb ragout. Aimee's going to show you how you can make it. Even though we're back at the house at her restaurant, we're going to show you how you can make it in your kitchen at home for your friends, and it's going to be delicious.
For this dish, what you want to do is just make everything really fine. You want to chop it as small as you can without getting a mush. So now we're going to take some rosemary from this branch, and you want to hold it from the tip of the branch and just pull downward like this, and it just takes all the rosemary out and just nip the top off. And I try to get it into the tiniest bunch that I can, and chop very, very finely. There's nothing worse than a rosemary branch in your mouth when you're trying to enjoy a nice ragout. And then just keep bunching it back together and passing over with a knife. So the first thing we're going to do is add the olive oil. Now the one thing that I like to share about olive oil and Italian cooking is you can't be afraid of it.
You mean you got to use a lot of it?
You have to use.
I use a lot of olive oil in my cooking.
I think for the home cook, it might be a little bit shocking how much olive oil we use, but it really adds to the flavor. Yeah. So try not to skimp on the olive oil. I have coated the entire bottom of the pan and a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to grab the pan and just start with the garlic.
Can I help you?
Add it with about, let's say, a teaspoon and a half.
I love your measuring system. Just the fingers. That's great.
And I'm swirling it around a little bit. The temperature is about perfect. It's not going to brown it too quickly. It's going to let the flavor come out. Beautiful. Then I'm going to add the onions right after that.
Can I help you?
Please.
Doing onions first, carrots
be great
with it.
Okay. I'm going to swirl that around again.
Beautiful.
Coat them in the olive oil.
See, this is what I love about the whole performance art of cooking, right? And if your friends are around your kitchen, they can just watch the whole thing take place.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think I was just going to say one thing, when people have everything done and it's ready to go, I just never feel like that's fun. I really want to see the performance art in the kitchen when I go over to someone's home.
It is fun. And it's fun to see how people cook. They cook differently.
Yes.
Carrots in there. I'm going to turn the heat up now. I had it about medium. So now I'm at about a 7. We're going to let it heat up.
Okay, cool. Sounds great.
Okay, so now that the onions have cooked just a little bit, I'm going to add the rosemary. And the reason I'm going to add the rosemary now is so that it isn't too fresh. It needs to brown a little bit as well. It releases the flavor, and it also makes it so it's not a woody feeling in your mouth when you're eating the sauce. Go ahead and put all that in there. I'd say that was about a good 2 big tablespoons full of rosemary. We'll stir it up. Now I'm going to add the celery and carrots as well. And I'm also going to add more olive oil. So now is the time to really just let this simmer and cook and soften up. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and some pepper. And depending on your taste, you can add chili flakes. I really like a spicy ragu, so I'm going to add some chili flakes. Start off a little bit conservative with that. So as you're cooking it, just stir it up a little bit to make sure everything browns evenly. So now that the vegetables are really cooking down, boy, the flavor's really coming out. You can smell it. It smells so good. The onions are starting to stick to the bottom, which tells me that they're almost ready. Okay, so it is now time to add the ground lamb. I'm going to break it up a little bit before I put it in with my hands, just to make it a little bit easier. Now I tend to use tongs for everything. That's just kind of how I cook. So I'm going to smash it up with my tongs. So what I'm doing here is just trying to break up the ground lamb so that it's a nice fine grain. This ragu should be fairly smooth. And don't be afraid to overcook this dish. This is almost like a roasted lamb ragu. And the longer it roasts, the better the flavor is.
I've gathered some tomatoes from my garden, and I didn't quite have enough, so I'm adding some romas as well. What we do here at La Romanza is we use imported pear tomatoes. They're extremely fresh, and they're very, very flavorful. But at this time of the year, we have tomatoes from the garden, and it's nice to be able to use those. So what I'm going to do is just turn it on all the way. This Cuisinart has only one speed, and I'm going to add tomatoes one at a time. Let them really mash and become almost like a liquid. And then I'm going to add a couple more tomatoes, but I'm not going to mash them quite as much because we want a little bit of chunkiness to the sauce. So I'm going to add 3 more tomatoes and then pulse it. Maybe I think I'm going to add 1 more. Now, this is the point at which I think requires a lot of restraint. Don't add anything else to the tomatoes. No basil, no extra seasonings or sauce. This is just a very simple dish. Actually, you know, I forgot a really, really important step, the wine. So I'm going to add the wine first to the meat so the flavor of the wine can really infuse into the lamb. So what I did is I poured in enough wine just to cover the top of the meat. And so we're going to let that simmer a little bit. And now our tomatoes are ready. So when that simmers just a little bit more, we'll add them a little bit at a time. Okay, so I'm going to add the tomatoes. First, before I do though, I'm going to add just a little bit of water to the mixture, to the tomatoes, just a touch, and then pulse it. All right. So this is an extremely, extremely fresh tomato sauce. Perfect. Now you want to stir it up. I would keep with this quantity of sauce, I would keep the heat on high for a good, I'd say a good 20 minutes and let this cook down. Then reduce the heat. Okay, so we have let this simmer for, I'd say, a good 45 minutes. And the way you know that it's done is that the tomatoes have broken down. The color is a little darker. They've infused with the wine, the rosemary, all the vegetables, and there's not a lot of water. So where the meat is in the dish, the tomato sauce is at about the same level. You want that kind of ratio for a nice ragout. So now it's time, the pasta's ready and the ragout is ready, and we've got a nice hot pan here. What I'm going to do is just scoop some of the ragout into the pan. And then fill that water, a little bit of water you want to end up in the pan. There we go, okay. And just toss it a little bit. Add just a little bit more ragout. I'm also going to add a little bit of shaved Parmesan in the pan. Toss it up, and we're ready to plate it.
Oh man, it smells good.
So you can get this recipe on thebrownlounge.com, as well as the pasta recipe that we did together, and it is fabulous. The homemade pasta is just terrific and very easy to make. Thank you so much. I have to try. Oh boy, it's hot.
It is.
Yeah, wow, it's gonna be delicious. Hold on. Okay, here it goes. Wow.
Tasty?
That's delicious. You?
Yay! Oh, thanks.
Fantastic. Pappardelle is so delicious, and the ragout has just a wonderful mixture.
Very aromatic. You know, one thing I wanted to mention also is this is a sauce that you can definitely make tonight, and it's ready to go. But if you want to make it tonight for a party tomorrow, for my taste, it's even better the next day. The flavors are really infused.
Join us again on thebrownlounge.com. Of course, as always, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, check out our YouTube channel. We're always cooking up something great and really appreciate being with you today. And don't forget, go to La Romanza Bistro in West Seattle. Fabulous Italian food. You can even try this if you don't want to make it at home. See you next time.